things that we're going to talk about today and celebrate today is the Tooker Gomberg Scholarship. In the early days of globalization studies at the University of Lethbridge, I'd worked closely with Tooker Gomberg, especially on the creative uses of the new media. I first met Tooker in 2001, shortly after we had both been released from Orsonville Penitentiary. Along with several hundred activists, we'd both been jailed for protesting in Quebec City the anti-democratic character of the so-called free trade area of the Americas. I'd traveled to Quebec City to take part in a conference I'd organized to consider the relationship of Indigenous peoples to the proposed hemispheric trade deal. Tooker made the journey from Toronto, where he had just come in second in the electoral contest to become mayor of Canada's largest city.
We think it's time for action. It's enough talk. And the action that we'd like to see is outlined in our campaign platform. And these are things that we commit to. If I'm elected mayor on November 3rd, open the doors to the Fort York Armory and create 1,000 immediate emergency shelter beds, because there's a shortage of emergency beds here in the city right now. An end to the aggressive policing targeting of homeless people, especially in city parks. The 1% solution, I've talked about this before. If we had an additional 1% of the federal, provincial, and municipal budgets going into affordable social housing, we have the problem licked. Vote! Don't forget to vote for victory! Check it out! Some people think that this stuff is garbage, but if you look at it in a different way, it's actually a resource. This plant transforms this stuff into biogas, which is really natural gas. So instead of dumping this stuff, we could actually be doing this, transforming it into a resource, generating electricity, heating and cooling buildings, and moving into the 21st century with our garbage. It's not even garbage, it's a wasted resource.
Tooker had traveled to Quebec City with his camera gear to document this historic reckoning, testing competing visions of globalization. Tooker was the first person I saw with his video camera with a wire going into his laptop computer, and he was making a video of our encounters with police and such in Quebec City for Now magazine. And Gomberg Scholarship will be for the student in the humanities and social sciences, the graduate student in the humanities and social sciences, who most adeptly engages public controversy to advance public good, or the common good. So it's not frivolous engagement of public controversy, it's considered thoughtful, directed engagement of public controversy, of which Tooker Gomberg, your husband Angela, is the epitome, is the archetype.
Hi, you're Angela Bischoff.
And you're Tooker Gomberg.
We're longtime environmental activists.
But sometimes it really feels like we're losing the battle.
But there are amazing stories from around the world that can inspire us and move us onto a sustainable path.
Tooker Gomberg never shied away from what had not been tried, with faithful friends there at his side. Showed us we could turn the tide on Adam's mind, and Kyoto would not go the way of the dodo. Burning passport declarations, buried car commemorations. Robin Hood through town he'd glide, inviting us along to ride Monde Bicyclette.
In November of 2002, Tooker showed me the film, Kyoto, Winds of Change. Tooker and his wife, Angela Bischoff, made the movie in Asia to explore positive environmental stories. Tooker and Angela expressed their love for one another and for all humanity in many highly creative ways. One of their vehicles of expression was an organization known as Greenspiration. Currently the outreach director of the Ontario Clean Air Alliance, Angela continues to provide leadership for Greenspiration. Tooker Gomberg died way too young in 2004 when he was 49 years old. He's especially well remembered in Edmonton, where he served as an elected city councillor between 1992 and 1995. While Tooker isn't with us anymore in body, his spirit lives on as an inspiration for all those seeking more enlightened motifs of living in harmony with the ecological cycles of Mother Earth. I'm very proud of the University of Lethbridge for helping to renew the memory of my friend and teacher, Tooker Gomberg, with a prestigious scholarship in his name. There's a lot of things coming full cycle here. We're going to endow this scholarship, and I mentioned it's with great pleasure to introduce Angela Bischoff, who will give us a little bit fuller idea of Tooker's, the significance of Tooker's work.
Tooker Gomberg never shied away from what had not been tried, with faithful friends there at his side. Showed us
continues to be.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm so honored to be here. This part of me thinks this is really fun to be just imported into the event, because of course I would love to be there myself, but it didn't make sense. So I'm really honored to be here and to hear the speeches. Very profound, and I'm also very moved. I'm moved by the respect that you are remembering to in this way.
Le monde à bicyclette.
Tooker has left a lot of legacies since his passing, but there hasn't been a scholarship left in his name, so I'm really honored that you would do this, and it's also, you know, it really honors the real fundamental spirit of Tooker, which, of course, he was a very controversial figure, and he embraced it. He embraced it as fundamental to his activist spirit. You know, it may be considered controversial to be critical of how we transport ourselves around the city, but he would flip it on its head and say, well, really, we should be really questioning how the car culture dominates our world. And so he would have fun with this. So, for example, we buried a car in Toronto on the 100th anniversary of the first person who was killed by a car. And that was a very profound event that reached around the world. Yes, I guess it was controversial, but he used it for the public good, and he used it to generate media attention and to bring a sense of conviviality and joie de vivre and humor to his activism. So I appreciate that you're acknowledging and honoring that activist spirit. And there's so many examples of events that he really touched people, created media, spawned public conversation through the media and through the public, even just by running for political office. He ran in 6 different elections, and in fact in the 2000 election he ran against Mayor Mel Lastman, the incumbent mayor, and he came second to the incumbent mayor on a completely activist platform. And we took on the largest issues of the day, like garbage or poverty and homelessness, and spun them into an engaging conversation, public conversation that the media loved, the public loved, and they voted for him, in fact. One time I remember that garbage was a really big issue of the day in that Toronto election. The incumbent mayor wanted to ship all our garbage up north into an abandoned mine, which was now a beautiful lake. And we fought that. And one of the things we did, we were always conscious about providing alternatives, so we weren't just opposing something, but we were proposing something as well. So we were proposing compost and conservation, etc. And we rode our bikes up with a compost bin, a plastic compost bin that put together, assembled together. We went up to the mayor's yard and assembled a compost bin and brought a bag of compost with us and threw it into the compost bin and had our signs we released our garbage platform on the mayor's lawn. Now that, I suppose it's controversial, but it was in the public good, and in fact, we didn't win the election, but one of the first things that the mayor did following his re-election was he implemented a citywide compost program that now is very big in the city of Toronto. So a lot of the ideas that Tooker spawned, created, and put into the public forum actually saw the light of day. And may this scholarship really inspire youth to not be afraid of being controversial. I mean, new ideas are always considered controversial until they get adopted, and then they're the what people believe. And so many of the ideas and what Tony has created with new ideas and generating discussion, I mean, that may be seen as controversial now and won't, with 9/11, for example, and before long that's going to be the thought of the day. And may lots of students be inspired by Tooker's legacy, by Tony's legacy, and by all the activism, by all the youth, and all of you who are open to new ideas and creating change, because that's what makes the world go round, is people like us who are inspired to have a vision and create change in the world, to not accept the status quo, to shake things up, and to have the courage to speak truth to power. So I hope that this scholarship will inspire that. And thank you so much for inviting me into your space.
So we're going to show the teepee and the turbine now. It's 11 minutes.